Alright guys, let's jump right back into the foreshadowing series for Game of Thrones. And just want to say really quickly, if you're new to this series, I do label it foreshadowing, but it's not all foreshadowing technically. Some of it's just kind of hints and some of it's parallel moments. But I think it's cool to take a look back at the show with 2020 vision, whether it be a little line of dialogue, a specific scene, or some kind of shot in the show that has a really cool payoff scene later. So anyway, let's jump into Season 2, Episode 4, Garden of Bones. Alright, in our first shot we see Robb and Roose Bolton after they attack the Lannisters at night as they walk among the dead and wounded, and we hear Roose Bolton say this.
We're not executing prisoners, Lord Bolton.
Of course, Your Grace. The officers will be useful. Some of them may be privy to Tywin Lannister's plans.
I doubt it.
So he's basically telling us that he's the one who's privy to Tywin Lannister's plans, and of course that plan ended up being this.
The Lannisters send their regards.
And next on the same field of battle, we see Robb meet Talisa for the first time.
What's your name?
Talisa.
Your last name?
I want to know what side my family fights on.
They killed my father.
That boy did.
The family he fights for.
Do you think he's friends with King Joffrey?
I have no hatred for the lad.
That should help his foot grow back.
So there's not really one particular payoff for this. I guess you could say the Red Wedding is when Robb and Talisa get killed, because a lot of scenes during Season 2 foreshadow the Red Wedding, so this is another one of those for sure. But this was a little foreshadowing to let us know that Robb was not going to win this war because everything was going really good for him. And of course Robb starts digging her pretty damn quickly because she's pretty defiant. She's doing her job. She don't care whose side the men are on. She's going to take care of the wounded. And Robb really respects that. But of course in the context of their conversation, they're talking about war and is it right and what are you going to do after the war. And she's really anti-war. She's kind of taking the stance of George R.R. Martin, and although Robb's doing it for a just reason, he doesn't want power out of it, he simply wants to win the war and go back to Winterfell. In the context of all that anti-war talk, etc., Talisa is the very reason he loses the war because he ends up marrying her and betraying Walder Frey after he gave his word, and that ends up being the actual reason he loses the war. And of course we've already seen the payoff at the Red Wedding. That's when the war is essentially over and the Starks are finished. And in our next scene we see Sansa and Joffrey having a little conversation in the throne room.
Meryn. Leave her face. I like her pretty. If you want Robb Stark to hear us, we're going to have to speak louder.
Knight beats a helpless girl.
The kind who serves his king, imp.
Careful now. We don't want to get blood all over your pretty white cloak.
So we see the true colors of Sir Meryn Trant, the asshole, pedophile, whatever you want to call him. He's the worst of the damn worst. Joffrey has him beat Sansa until Tyrion interrupts. And of course later on we would see the full extent of his sickness and his satisfying death when we see this. And also during that same scene, we do see Tyrion interrupt and actually extend a hand out to Sansa. This really pays off in Season 7 when we see this.
Do you think?
Tyrion's not like the other Lannisters. He was always kind to me, but it's too great a risk.
And next we have a scene with Joffrey receiving his name day gift from Tyrion because Tyrion and Bronn had previously spoken in a previous scene about how he's kind of backed up with poison and he needs to get some of that poison out. So Tyrion hired a couple girls from the local brothel, including Roz, and we see this.
Name day, Your Grace.
My name day is past.
You won't tell if you won't.
Touch her. Could you hit her? You will bring her to his chambers when you're finished and show him what you've done. Well, the same thing will happen to you.
So we continue to see Joffrey is a sick little prick, which makes us as the audience hate him even more. I mean, every single scene you think, I can't hate this little bastard anymore. And of course, that was just a prelude to what would happen next when we see this.
Chaos is a ladder. Many who try to climb it fail.
And next we see Arya and Gendry. They're taken north to the God's Eye at Harrenhal, where the Lannisters are holding up. And of course, the Mountain is in charge here. They're killing one person per day. But also there's an older lady being held captive with her, and she asks her this.
Does anyone live? Joffrey, Cersei, in pain.
So in combination with her asking this lady, does anyone live, and her saying her little prayer as her list of names laying in the mud as she goes to sleep that night, in the very next episode, we would see this.
The Red God takes what is his, lovely girl, and only death may pay for life. Speak 3 names, and the man will do the rest.
The one who tortures everyone.
That man needs a name.
I don't know his name. They call him the Tickler.
That is enough.
So all this kind of stuff previously with Arya in previous seasons and episodes would eventually lead to her becoming a faceless man, but this is the first time she actually got the idea in her head that this could actually be done. She could get revenge and go down her list and kill people to get out of some of these situations, and he agrees to kill 3 people for her because she did save him from the burning wagon. So once she realizes this, meeting Jack and Hagar, that things can be accomplished through death, this is where she really becomes a different person and sets her on her final path to Braavos to become a faceless assassin. And in our next scene, it flashes from Arya over to her mother Catelyn as she talks to Littlefinger in the tent.
The Hound.
How dare you?
You may have heard false reports.
You betrayed Ned.
Seems to me that fate has given us this chance to...
You lost your mind. Get out!
So we see this scene where Littlefinger brings Ned's bones to Catelyn as a gesture of goodwill from Tyrion Lannister, but Littlefinger tries to put the moves on her. She pulls a dagger on Littlefinger, and they're specifically talking about Arya and Sansa, and Littlefinger straight up lies to Catelyn's face, saying that Sansa and Arya were both safe and healthy when he had no idea what was going on with Arya. She was in the cage at Harrenhal at the same time. And right after this scene, it also flashes right back to Arya at Harrenhal as well. That's when Tywin Lannister would arrive and actually save them. But all that in combination with the context of their conversation, Catelyn pulling the dagger on Littlefinger and them talking about Arya, later on in season 7, we would see this.
We'll never forget them.
And finally, we have our little parlay between Renly and Stannis as they prepare for battle.
I'll even name you my heir. Until a son is born to me. Otherwise, I shall destroy you.
Look to your sins, Lord Renly. The night is dark and full of terrors.
So all this reference to having a son and naming him heir, etc. And then of course Melisandre telling Renly the night is dark and full of terrors. It wouldn't be very long till we see Stannis' son. Of course we're thinking about a regular son at the time. And then in the next episode, of course, we do see this. So indeed, Renly, the night is dark and full of terrors. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. And as usual, thank you for all the support, especially to you guys on Patreon. And a huge shout out to my executive Patreon SmokeScreen producers, Griffin, Lala, Kissa, Powell, Marylin, Bentley, Anonymous, Colliday, Goska, HoonJive, Horton, Erin, Habig, John, Carey, Anastasia, Jason Landers, DTizSmith, MJW, Carole Brown, D Brown, Michael Colton, Lisa Phillips, and Alfred Borstmayer. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the support. And to everyone on Patreon. And also really quickly, don't forget, if you like to read the books or you want to reread the books and you like audiobooks, you can go to audibletrial.com/smokescreen and get a 30-day free trial of Audible and any free audiobook of your choice. So anyway, guys, if you dig what I do here, please give this video a like and a share, and any video you like for that matter. It really helps the channel. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.